Sound check 1 2 3. Sound check 1 2 3.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Airport Subcommittee meeting of May 9th, 2024, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. A reminder that all electronic devices are to be switched to a non-audible function, and please note that quorum is present. Approval of agenda, Mr. Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The presentation for item 8.1 will be uploaded to the agenda following the meeting.
Okay, may I please have a mover and second to approve the agenda as amended? Councillor Pauls, Councillor Beatty, any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go to the vote. Thumbs up from Councillor Francis. Thumbs up from Councillor Taddison. That carries 7-0. Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest this morning? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 4, approval of minutes of previous meeting. 4.1, December 1, 2023. May I please have a mover and seconder to approve the previous minutes? Councillor Pauls, Councillor Kassar. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, we will go to the vote. That carries 7-0. Moving on to 8.1, staff presentations. 8.1, John C. Munro, Hamilton International Airport update. We have Cole Horncastle, Executive Managing Director, Hamilton International Airport, is here to provide the committee with a presentation on the item. Welcome, Cole.
Very nice. Yeah, no, I don't know about that, but well, thank you.
Go ahead whenever you're ready, Cole.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. By myself and Kathy Puckering, who's here, we thank you for having us here today for this airport subcommittee. And we'll get into our presentation, which highlights our year in review, as well as some of the items for 2024. Let's see. Very good. Thank you. Since 1996, Tradeport and Vantage have been strategic, proven partners with the City of Hamilton. We've provided jobs, we've become an economic engine for what is a very strategic city asset, and we're very proud of that. We've done this through collaboration with the city, through multiple different forms, with the most recent example of that being through the creation of the master plan, working with the city to ensure that awareness is there on our capital plans moving forward. This partnership specifically has led to year-to-date or term-to-date over $40 million in terms of rent and property tax received by the city from either Tradeport itself or our stakeholders, which is, I think, a real great achievement for all of us. So with that, pause for effect. Let's make sure I don't go too far here. Okay, very good. So with that, I'm proud to share our 2023 results. These metrics are what we base and trend our business on and are important as we look at how the business has done in the last year as well as where we're moving forward. The first one I want to highlight is the 820,000 E&D passengers for the year, which is a significant amount of passengers going through the terminal. Of that 820, I think it's important to state that we had the busiest summer ever in our last 20 years with almost 220,000 E&D passengers going through the terminal. So a great achievement there. And we'll get into some of how we did that later on in the presentation. Also, we had over 746 million kilograms of landed MTO travel through the airport. So that's cargo planes moving through the airport. We've seen that stabilize over time, and we continue to have that 40% growth rate since 2019. Though markets have stabilized a bit, we continue to see growth, and that's through investments that we've made at the airport as well, that I'll get into a little further to talk about what we're seeing from the cargo side. From the passenger experience side, it's an important aspect to us to make sure that our stakeholders and our passengers have a good experience going through the airport. And through over 25,000 surveys that were completed last year, we had a recommendation satisfaction rate of 86%. To give you an idea of what that means, Skytrax, JD Power are two known companies that take a look at these figures, and anywhere between 75 to 85% is considered above average or above satisfactory. And so to receive an 86% just shows how our team and the investments we made are benefiting our passengers today. Tradelport also invests for today and the future, and that was evident by our $30 million capital program that occurred last year. I'll be very happy to talk about that in our next coming slides and get into what we did and how it's already paying dividends today. And lastly, just one more thing to highlight is the total payments to the City of Hamilton in 2023. So with that, through Tradeport's $1.4 million and through our stakeholders paying property tax of $2.8, the combined of $4.2 million going to the city for all of the year. So very good. Thank you. Okay, so getting into the capital, and I think this is an important piece to talk about is, airports, as we've talked about in the past, are very capital-intensive assets. With that, through ourselves and our tenants, over the years, over $450 million has been invested at the airport. Specifically in 2023, that was our largest capital program year to date. That $30.3 million focused on apron expansion and other expansionary projects such as a new GSE service road parallel to Taxiway Delta, as well as different taxiway fillets. So basically increasing the turning bays at different areas of the airport to allow for unrestricted movements of 777 activity, so larger wide-body aircraft throughout the airport. So that was a great year where we were actually able to open up the first gate for our first 777 aircraft to arrive in about early December. So that was a great accomplishment. We were all there to celebrate that. But with that we're also planning another significant capital year in 2024, and that has begun. And that's another, to quantify that, we're looking at potentially up to a 2-year period of almost $60 million in CapEx spend over the last 2 periods. For this year, what we're looking at is significant, again, taxiway apron rehabilitation and strengthening, further supporting that wide-body aircraft traffic from the airport, as well as continuing to invest in the environment projects at the airport, with one of our larger ones being our stormwater treatment facility that is going on site at the airport. So these investments that we've made help us to stand out amongst our competitors. And we've talked about the competitive advantage of Hamilton being 24/7, unrestricted. We continue with these investments to alleviate the bottlenecks that entities could potentially have at airports. On-time performance is key. Minutes matter to our operators, and we definitely are invested in making sure that goods and people can move as quickly as possible to their destinations. So what you can see here is we've increased our capacity by both our gate and de-icing capacity in the year. So gates up 125%. We added 4 new gates on over 32,000 square meters of new asphalt on our Apron 2 North. We've also increased our de-icing capacity by 200%. That is very important and was a key bottleneck that our customers were requiring to be amended, and that was we started to see the impacts of that immediately. For 2024, really the work will focus on our Apron 1 and Apron 2 areas. Again, now building off of that new apron, making sure the infrastructure that we built off of to allow that movement can continue to take on the larger wide-body aircraft and be set up for success in the years to come. So very good plans on that end. As we look into the passenger side of the business, this is where volatility continues to occur amongst all airports in Canada, as our carriers really are looking at their strategies and how to move passengers across the country. First, just talking about what we did see last year with that 820,000 E&D passengers. We were lucky to have Councillor Taddison, who seems to be a regular at the airport for events lately, but come on his birthday, no less, to introduce Play Airlines. And that was a a great success in June, where starting off that partnership, we had about 176 landings occur from play over the year and had a great load factor of close to 80% from the activity. That play movements go from Hamilton to Iceland and then on to 30 different destinations across Europe. And so we've seen the success of that and looking forward to continuing that into this year. We also just recently, it was in the works in 2023, but we just recently started the Air Canada landline partnership on May 1st. And as a regional airport, it's important for carriers to connect into hubs. Sometimes being so closely connected to Toronto Pearson doesn't always benefit us, but in this situation, Air Canada has found a unique, proven way to bring passengers from Hamilton, utilize our facilities, then move on to their next destination, connecting into that global hub of Air Canada. So, as an inception, we're first in Canada for this. This has happened in the States before and is working there successfully. So we're looking forward to this, building off the success that Landline has already had in the States, and we're really excited about this one, and we're starting to see load factors improve on that already. And then what we knew already, and we've talked about it at other meetings, the swoop wind up into WestJet occurred in late October, and we continue to have a great relationship with WestJet, working towards our future goals. So how do we get that 86 passenger satisfaction rating, and again talk about the investments that are being made into the facility? A couple of the improvements made during the year. One was we added a fourth security screening lane that increased our throughput capacity from 360 passengers per hour to 480 passengers per hour. And that just ultimately means people can get to where they want to go quicker. We increased the size of our washrooms in our boarding room, our hold room. One of the ones I was excited about was launching our online parking reservation system. And that's a key for us in driving continuing revenue diversification really at the airport. As a stat, in March of 2024, 18% of our parking transactions were done through this reservation system. So it was something that our passengers wanted, we were able to provide, and ultimately we continue to look to build on that to grow our reservation system. And lastly, you can see our new ARF vehicle, response vehicle here that came in the fall. That's the one all the kids like to come and tour around here, but it's a great aspect to make sure that we continue to remain regulatory compliant at the airport. So our partners play such a key role at the airport as well in supporting that revenue diversification I talked about. Some of the pictures you see on this slide are a couple of the investments that you're already aware of. We know we've talked about them a couple times, DHL and KF. We know UPS and Purolator Canada Post and Cargojet have large investments at the airport as well. But what happens is after these investments, they continue to grow their businesses at the airport that drive additional growth. So from DHL's example, knowing that building was construction in 2021, they've already done improvements to it to basically change from a gateway to a hub, further increasing their international traffic capabilities. So as an example, for this year, 37% of our major cargo movements were international, transporter international flights. So that's either coming from hubs like Cincinnati or LAX as an example, or going out to Europe, and I'll show you on a flight map as some of the locations as well. So very key for them to move goods. Other investments made, Cargojet was very strategic in implementing a flight training center at Hamilton International for its pilots. One of the potential bottlenecks for a carrier is actually having people to fly the planes to get your goods to where you want to go. And sometimes sending those individuals to training can lead to going to the States. It's about 8 weeks to 3 months to get that training, and really delays getting a pilot into that seat to move that aircraft. So now we have what is one of 3 official training sites in Canada, and there are a couple other ones that are still there, but 3 of the main ones here that Cargojet uses for their own staff. So that's really important for them and strategic. KF Aerospace also grew its maintenance hub, having a significant amount of carriers bring business to them. And sometimes for MRO maintenance services, carriers actually go overseas to get that work done. So it's really important that we have one of the strategic locations here where that MRO service is done in Hamilton. And it's a great news story. We have so many different vendors coming that you normally wouldn't see to Hamilton to get those services completed. Another interesting fact there is that their partnership with Mohawk continues to drive employment at that facility. They have a significant amount of co-op students who get hired into that program, and then a significant amount of those co-op students turn into employees afterwards, after their co-op turn is done. So it's a very good partnership in talking with KFA and Mohawk, and they're both very appreciative of that. And lastly, you see the Prime Air flights here. Those started up in 2021. And that just creates synergies to things that are around the airport, and specifically that fulfillment center that's at the northeast corner of the airport. In total, we had approximately 1,400 movements from Prime Air that were operated by Cargojet during the year, and I think that's very strategic for us as Amazon and e-commerce continues to grow. Another aspect is not just customer service from the passenger side, it's also ensuring that our stakeholders receive that customer service that we pride ourselves on. And so a couple of the items we've already touched on. We've increased capacity for our stakeholders, ensuring their OTP, making sure their needs are met. We just recently completed a survey, and 84% of our cargo stakeholders would recommend Hamilton International. This was our first year we've done this survey, would recommend Hamilton International as a partner. And we're very, very happy with that, and we look to build on that in the future to continue to grow that amount. And going back to the customer service piece, we definitely work with all of our partners to try to get them over certain barriers that could exist. And one of those examples is with PLAY Airlines. So when PLAY started, one of the items they wanted to pursue was belly cargo at the airport, moving Icelandic fish to Canada here. And we really supported that process to make sure anything with CBSA, any goods handlers at the airport were all aware of how to have this partnership work. And we're very proud to state that as of December, that fish started to move through the airport and continues to today. So that's a great story of how our team works with different levels of government to make sure that we can get individuals' priorities across the finish line. Also supporting our revenue diversification is land development. And with the minimal amount of land left at the airport to develop, it was really great for us to turn a land parcel that really at first we didn't think a whole lot of acres were available for development into approximately a 30-acre development with 10 acres ground side and 20 acres air side. That was further cemented with Latitude Air Ambulance breaking ground on their new facility in December for their 44,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in the healthcare industry. So that was a great piece to it, and we're really looking forward to developing the remaining aspects of the land and are working with potential stakeholders. I'll say this, our phone definitely rings quite a bit with individuals looking for land development opportunities, and we're really looking forward to finalizing what could be the last 1 to 2 stakeholders for that remaining parcel. But with that, after this airside piece, there really isn't a whole lot of land left at the airport for development. We are working with NAV Canada to determine if the current radar can be reallocated or moved to a different location, either on or off airport property. We're nearing the conclusion of that assessment, and we'll look forward to get back to council here with the outcome. But ultimately, that's one of the unique ways that we're trying to move forward with different types of land development, because by moving that radar, we open up about 70 acres of airside developable land, which would be of high interest to many of our current and potential stakeholders. To give you an idea of where we're at for 2024 of our route map here, when you're looking at the actual map, you can see the international and trans-border activity that drives on an annual and seasonal basis from Hamilton International. So really a lot of what I've already talked about here or throughout the presentation, but we're looking forward to a successful summer, and we're planning on what the winter can be. From the cargo perspective here, again, I think it's a great view of our top 25 or so destinations up here. where it comes to it, you can see quite a few are below the border, and we've got the 4 over in Europe, and even further, those European destinations are fed from different areas of the world, mainly being Asia or other areas of Europe, to get those goods moved through into Hamilton. So of the map you're seeing today, you can see the stars, which are some of our major locations, but 13 of those 25 are international or transborder locations to where goods are moving from. So, Hamilton International is truly international when it comes to both our passenger and cargo activity. And I think I've said it already too many times, but, oh, we good there? Okay, yeah. But we are the 3rd largest cargo airport in, maybe I'll pause for a second. Good, yeah. So we continue to be the 3rd largest cargo airport in Canada and the largest overnight freight operator when it comes to payload moving through. So we are definitely first in class when it comes to goods movements. So moving on to ESG. So we had a productive 2023 when it comes to implementing certain projects, but as well moving forward with our plan for a net zero strategy. We wrapped up at the end of our year our assessment with Walter Fetty to really give us that plan, that menu of projects to complete in order to meet a goal of achieving net zero. We're currently assessing that plan now just to make sure that we're comfortable with it moving forward, but we have a lot of great options to move forward. You can see from this slide where our emissions come from, and really the facilities being a major driver of that, then getting on to our fleet and then our airfield as items number 2 and 3 when it comes to the remaining 25%. So we're happy to get that done. We also completed in the year our waste audit and our terminal waste program, and then in our operational procedures, continued to move forward with items to support reduction of fuel use throughout our operations. So something as simple, and also I'll call it simple, as purchasing a snow trailer to eliminate a loader moving back and forth from our apron to a snow dump, significantly reduced the amount of trips that we had to make in a loader, which was the equivalent of going to Thunder Bay and back in a year with respect to gas use. So as we look to move forward, part of our plan will look to how do we get these facilities transferred over into some different type of power supply to heat the terminals, as well as look at different ESG strategies and supporting our partners as they embark on their sustainable aviation fuel ventures. So it's we had a great year on it, and we're looking forward to moving forward with our plans. So in closing here, I personally, think 2023 was a great year. Ultimately, airports are a capital-intensive asset, and to spend $30 million on an asset to improve for our stakeholders is a great news story for not only us, but the city of Hamilton. Tradeport and Vantage, we remain focused on growing the business, whether that's through passenger, cargo, land development, or ancillary revenues, as well as meeting our climate action and sustainability goals. So with that, I'll close there and just say thank you and open it up, pass it back to the chair.
Thank you, Cole. And before we get to our speakers list, I'll just thank you for that presentation to you and Kathy, Vantage Group, and Tradeport. Seemed like a very successful 2023, and that's good news for the city of Hamilton. So thank you for that. We will go to Councillor Wang, our first and only person on the speakers list at this time.
Thank you. Thanks, Cole, for that presentation. I'm interested in learning more about the landline service that you had outlined, and I know that it's still early days because we're only May the 9th. Yep. But I wonder, as you were developing this program with Air Canada, what were the estimated throughputs for passengers that they were hoping to attain with this new service?
Yeah, so like any new service, it takes time to develop to get to where that is. And I think specifically with this service, because it's so unique in Canada, a lot of marketing dollars are being spent to get that information out there. This is actually kind of similar to when Swoop started at Hamilton, trying to get the news out of a new carrier and get that base built for travel. But with that is, seeing projections from the United States with Leyline and how they operate, they would expect normal load factors that they would see between 70 and 90% ultimately in the range to get there. Each bus has 36 seats on it, and if you can ever get on the bus, I shouldn't say bus actually, luxury motor coach, because that's what it is. It is beautiful. It's a great, comfortable ride. We had a lot of staff go on it just to make sure we're aware of how the actual process works. And the words I got back was relaxing for it, right? So it's, I think, a great service that a lot of Hamiltonians will be able to use, and from those from the region as well.
So again, trying to dig a little bit deeper in understanding this landline service, the ideal scenario is that, say, Air Canada lands at Hamilton Airport, and then a passenger would have a connecting flight in, say, Toronto Pearson.
So how it works is that you come into Hamilton International, go through your normal check-in process. So you check your bag and like normal. Right now, the process would be is you wait in our ground side area, and then you hop on the luxury motor coach. From there, that's where you get connected to your flight. So there actually isn't a flight in Hamilton at this moment. You're hopping onto the luxury motor coach to go get your flight at Toronto Pearson. So from that's where you're really connecting from Hamilton to wherever the Air Canada network can go.
Oh, okay.
Councillor?
Interesting. And when you reference the US, which cities are leveraging this type of service?
Yeah, the one I'll talk about is Philadelphia is one of the main ones that is using this service. And again, it's a way where there's airports that are in close proximity to one another to really tap into a market, which the Hamilton market is proven for passenger traffic. To tap into that market to get people onto your product. And so that's where it has worked. There's other examples with Landline where they've actually, because of how successful it was, it created airline traffic at one point. So because of how successful the luxury motor coach was, the carrier determined to add some flights to that location. So I think in general, it's unique, right? It's a luxury motor coach coming from the airport. It's once you actually get to understand how it can be used, I think it's very beneficial for travelers.
So again, sorry, Chair, I have more questions. I may have to take a bunch of these offline, but my last question for this particular product is, in the estimated throughput, are you expecting more cars to be parked at Hamilton Airport then? If so, how do master plans look for parking then at the airport?
Yeah. So from that perspective, the plan would be for the customers to use Hamilton International's amenities. And right now, how the process works is it would all be ground side. Air Canada and Landline are working with Transport Canada to attempt to get that to be airside as well. So what that would mean is the bus actually goes airside, you go through security at Hamilton, and then you connect onto your flight airside to airside. So that's the future state. The current state right now is ground side to ground side to get the product started. So with that is these passengers are treated just like any other passenger at the airport when it comes to what projections could look like and how it triggers aspects of the master plan. So there's really no difference on that, and it all depends on that activity level we're seeing at the airport.
Okay. My second question then, sorry, Chair, is that in one of your slides, you show all of the different destinations, but with the loss of Swoop, you've now lost a lot of West Coast America destinations. What is the plan to get West Coast back online?
Yeah, for sure. And that's, being part of the Vantage network here, really, we have the power of the network. And our team is in front of not only WestJet, but all carriers talking about our proven market here in Hamilton. Ultimately right now, customers can get to the West Coast through connections through Calgary, and that's a great opportunity for them. But we continue to grow and have the conversations to get to where we can be when it comes to passengers, because we know we have the market here that can be served.
I was lucky to take a Swoop flight from Hamilton to Las Vegas, and it was a pretty amazing trip, and I'm sad that there's no longer that dot on the map. So thank you, Chair. Those are all my questions.
Thank you, Councillor. Just a reminder, at times I'm told I'm not parliamentary, so just a reminder to go through the chair when we're speaking, please. Thank you. Up next, Councillor Taddison.
Through the chair. Cole, you said that 84% of your, I guess we'll call them cargo partners or tenants, would recommend Hamilton in a survey that you took. What were your findings, your recommendations, or your learnings from the 16% who wouldn't?
Yeah, and ultimately on that one is, I will say for our first year of sample, that was a smaller sample size than what we would have liked. So we're working on getting additional sample surveys out there. Some of the comments were on an operational basis that we've taken and created action plans to deal with our partners on. But it was really working just with our stakeholders to make sure their needs are met, and that's something that I'm very confident in our team that we do on a day-to-day basis. Recent commentary from Cargojet is very complimentary, and that's from Cargojet, DHL, UPS. Our stakeholders really enjoy working with us in the service level we provide, and when compared to other potential competitors.
Okay, thanks for that. And through the chair, could you just go into what were some of the things that you did for Play in order to enable them to use that belly cargo process?
For sure, yeah. So when you think of that operation and how it has to happen, a lot of the freight at Hamilton Airport comes in dedicated right now. So it's actually a different process for freight to come in via belly cargo at the airport. It's a different process there, something that our government entities like CBSA would need to create a new process at Hamilton to be able to screen the goods as they're coming in internationally. Processes even for our partners like Aeroship and Executive Aviation to how those goods are brought off the plane to make sure that plane still moves on an OTP basis, because as much as cargo is an important revenue driver for them, it's the passengers buying the tickets that want to get to their connections, right? So working with different levels of government to get the policies and procedures across for CBSA as well as for the facility where the goods are stored, and then making sure our partners were prepared. So connecting everyone, making sure the conversations were continuing so that our customer, ultimately at the end of the day, Play, was extremely satisfied with what that final service was.
Thank you for that answer, and thanks for the efforts to make that happen. And no more questions, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Taddison. Up next, Councillor Pauls.
Thank you, and through the chair. It's very interesting that we have the third largest cargo. Mm-hmm. And also in the passenger side, I think, I wrote it down, we spent over 2 years, 46.9 million, did you say?
So that's in total investments for the airport. It was a 46.9 funding agreement with the National Trade Corridor Fund for the Gateway Expansion Sustainability Project. At Tradeport specific for 2023, we spent about 30.3 million, and included in that was different passenger spend, which was about 2.3 million in terms of some of the capital assets we invested in.
That's great. What is your opinion why people want to come here?
Well,
why do the cargo want to come here? Why do passengers love coming to the airport? What are the things that attract people to come here?
Yeah, it's probably the same reason I wanted to work here back in 2013. And ultimately, it's working with Vantage Airport Group, the service level that is received at Hamilton International, the convenience, the ease of use, really for our hometown airport here, all that it would attract someone to come and use our airport. And that, along with what is normally a lower cost point for someone to travel, is really good. I always remember a story when my dad flying for the first time, and he wanted to get to a flight from Moncton like 3 hours ahead of time. Like, Dad, it's Moncton. You can be there like an hour and a half in Hamilton. It is used for the Toronto experience or other larger airport experience where there's a lot more anxiety in that, and that's just not the case at Hamilton.
It is so true. I've traveled many times, and I'd rather go to Hamilton than go to Toronto, just even the drive. My next question is, you said something about the expansion of 30 acres and wanting to do more, about the air ambulance. Yeah. What is that about? Are they coming here? Are they here?
Yeah, so shovels are in the ground. The actual facility for Latitude Air Ambulance is about halfway completed at the current moment. So we broke ground on that in December. That was the first tenant to sign on in that Northeast Airport development. So that total airside development is about 20 acres. Latitude in itself is approximately 7 to 8 acres of that total. So we have about 12 acres left with respect to potential airside developments in that northeast corner. We are receiving significant interest in that, and we're just working through the process to make sure we're fits and fits with partners who want to be at the airport.
That's great. And a couple of more things that took my attention, the training of the pilots. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's
So
great.
we have training the pilots for cargo or for air passengers?
It's actually for aircraft, so it's
Oh,
767 aircraft that these pilots are being trained to in this specific facility. So it's an incredible experience. I've had some team members who actually got to go in there who aren't pilots and got to try and fly a plane, and surprisingly they landed it. So I was like, that's pretty good. But in general, it's for 767 aircraft at the moment.
I kept writing all the things were exciting about what's happening
Yeah.
in Hamilton. What is your opinion that could stop people from investing in Hamilton? Is there something that would say, no, we don't want to invest there anymore? What are some obstacles? Is there any?
Well, in terms of our operational and how, our competitive advantage, really it's people want to come here. 24/7, unrestricted use of our runway, our 10,000-foot ILS runway, 1230, CBSA on site. So really all of the competitive advantages there for someone to use the airport. What's the real restriction is that we're running out of land to take all these calls, because ultimately is people want to be here in Hamilton, and it's just making sure we can accommodate that in our current footprint.
That's great. And I know there's a lease going on that we're trying to also make sure we do it quickly, because it's important. I think that would be an obstacle if some cargo or, the passengers, I think, we don't have a lease, or maybe we cannot invest that we have that.
Yeah.
Would that be an obstacle?
Cole, I'm just going to stop you there. We're going to take that lease conversation in camera, so I'd rather just,
Okay.
okay,
Well,
thank
I just
you.
wanted to,
Yeah, I
I'm
just,
talking about obstacles and things, so.
Yeah.
But anyways, this is exciting. I think even when you said that 2023, we received 1.4 million and 2.8 in taxes, which equals 4.2 million coming into Hamilton. I think that's great news as well.
Yeah.
So thank you, and all the best. I think Hamilton is the place to be. Thank you.
okay, seeing no one else on the speakers list, I'll get someone to move and second the presentation. Councillor Wang, Councillor Taddison, and we'll go to a vote, please. Thanks, Cole. And that vote carries 6-0. Thank you. Moving on to item 14, private and confidential, 14.1, December 1st, 2023. May I please have a mover and second to approve the closed session minutes of the December 1, 2023 meeting? Councillor Wang, Councillor Pauls, we will need an electronic vote, please. And that carries 6-0. Thank you. I'm also going to ask for a mover and seconder permit consultants, and I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Johnny Ciofo and Alex Laurie from Deloitte, into closed session for item 14.2 respecting the airport lease. Councillor Taddison, Councillor Pauls, and we'll go to the vote, please. And that carries 6-0. Thank you. Next, we'll get a motion to go into closed session for item 14.2. Councillor Beatty, Councillor Wang. We'll go to the vote. Pursuant to section 9.3 subsection C, J, and K of the city's procedural bylaw 21-021 and section 2392, subsections C, J, and K of the Ontario Municipal Act 2001 as amended, as the subject matter pertains to a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land for city or local board purposes, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, or financial information that belongs to the city or a local board and has monetary value of potential monetary value, and a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the city or a local board. Now we'll go to the vote. That carries 6-0. Members of the public are advised that during the closed session portion of the meeting, the live stream will broadcast a closed session in progress screen. The broadcast will resume when the closed session portion of the meeting is complete. As we are now moving into closed session, I would ask all members of the public, delegates, external participants to please now exit the WebEx meeting. As well, any staff that are not directly related to the in-camera items are also now asked to please exit the WebEx meeting. I also remind members of council that as per section 8.7 of the procedural bylaw, the use of personal electronic devices during closed meetings is strictly prohibited. However, the use of city electronic devices during closed meetings are limited to text communication only, with the city's electronic devices not being used as a telephone, recording device, or camera. Staff from the Office of the City Clerk are exempt from subsection 8.7C when using electronic devices for recording keeping purposes. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We are going to move to 14.2 Airport Lease PED 19084J Citywide. I have a mover in Councillor Tattison. I have a seconder in Councillor Pauls on the following. A, that the direction provided to staff in closed session be approved. B, that the confidential Appendix C to report PED 19084J be approved and remain confidential until approval by council. C, that the closed session recommendations contained within report PED 19084J respecting the airport lease remain confidential until approval by council. D, that the balance of the report PED 19084J and the appendices respecting the airport lease remain confidential. And we will go to the vote, please. Thumbs up for me, clerk. And that carries 7-0. Great job, committee. Last, number 15, adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Kassar, Councillor Beatty, please vote. And while we're voting, again, thank you to staff and to the Deloitte team for being here and everybody online. I think that carried. Still waiting. And maybe. Don't go anywhere yet. And that carries 7-0. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.